my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Cara Herrera, and today I'm going to be reviewing a movie called Becoming Jane. It was directed by Julian Gerald and released in 2007, and it stars Anne Hathaway as writer Jane Austen, as well as James McAvoy, Maggie Smith, Julie Walters, and James Cromwell. Before I begin though, let me just say that this will be a spoiler-free video, so you can sit back and enjoy. The story is set before Jane Austen became a published writer. We meet her in her youth and get to meet her family as well. Jane dreams of becoming a writer, and she's a headstrong, independent, and sensible young woman whose life is changed when she meets the cousin of one of her neighbors, the Irishman Tom Lefroy. Soon, Tom and Jane's natures and beliefs start to clash, leading them to frequently bicker about several subjects. But amidst all these, an attachment forms between them. Still, there are more than one forces at bay determined to keep the young lovers apart. Tom and Jane are supposedly meant to be the inspirations behind Austen's most famous characters, Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. So if that is true, it's fascinating to try and catch any aspects of their natures that might have inspired such great fictional lovers. I give Becoming Jane a 4 out of 5 stars review, not only because of all the nostalgic elements that come along when I have really loved a story since childhood, but because it's a very pretty, nice period drama that has some powerful acting in it. I like the look and pace of it. I like the script, the costumes, and the scenery. But most of all, I love the performances of the actors, particularly those of Anne Hathaway as Jane Austen and James McAvoy as Tom Lefroy. There are 2 scenes between them towards the end of the movie, one where they're at a coaching inn, and one is the last time when we see them before the movie ends, that are really gut-wrenching, and they never fail to give me a lump in my throat whenever I see them. I can't really find anything to criticize about it really, but I won't give it a higher rating because there are dozens of other period dramas that I have enjoyed way more. I've always loved history and period dramas, and I've been into English classics since I was like 14 years old. So when this film was first announced, I was in my early teens, and I was like eagerly anticipating its release. Because it was also like the time when I was a teenager watching Anne Hathaway, this breakout star whom I loved, so yeah. When the movie came out, I fell in love with the story, because even though I really love Jane Austen's works, she's never been one of my favorite authors, nor are her books among my favorite novels ever. Still, as an aspiring writer, and as a big romantic, I couldn't help but being raptured with the story, though I should point out that it's not 100% historically accurate. But again, since I've never been that much into Jane Austen, I wasn't bothered by that. I didn't mind the creative liberties they took with the script because I highly enjoyed the end results. I should mention though that this movie is based on a book called Becoming Jane Austen, which was written by John Hunter Spence, and which I haven't read because I think it's not really a novel, but more of a biography. And while I do love biographies, I am again not that interested in Jane Austen's life to read a whole book about it, at least not at this time. Still, I've always loved Becoming Jane even though it's never been one of my favorite movies, and I recently rewatched it so I could do this review. I would like to add though that this film holds a very special place in my heart for a particular reason, and that is that, as I just mentioned, I am an aspiring writer. At the moment I've only written the first draft of the first novel in one of the trilogies I've thought of, and I wrote it like 3 years ago and I haven't touched it since. Still, I would never have had the courage to write it if I hadn't had practice in writing because of fan fiction. I haven't done much of that, but I have done 2 that have been very long. Even before those fan fictions, my first fanfic ever was a little short attempt of a sequel to this movie, to Becoming Jane, and I remember that in it I have Jane and Tom Lefroy going to have tea after the events we see in the last scene of the movie, and they just sort of talk and reminisce, and it was cute. I liked that. That was my first attempt at writing, which I showed to the world. If I ever read the book that this movie is based on, I shall of course review it, but until then, thank you so much for watching my review of Becoming Jane. Please let me know if you enjoyed it or not, as well as what are your own thoughts regarding this movie, Jane Austen, her works, anything that's relevant, because I would love to talk about it all with you. And in the description box below you can also find a link to the movie's IMDb page. And well, I'm Cara Herrera, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you're in the world. I'll be seeing you soon, take care, and goodbye!